Coding challenge expert. This is the one we ran on Monday, on the 10th of December. So the first question, this is recursion. So I'm solving this question mostly thinking about the people who recently joined Expert, right? Marta, Alex, Tom, etc. So technically speaking, once you understand how to do recursion, this is very easy. In terms of how many lines of code you need to write, this is the simplest one on the Expert. So we have a bunch of numbers and we want to add them. Simple as that, right? The only issue is these numbers may be scattered across nested objects, and that's the thing we need to deal with. So first of all, argument name. Object, yeah. Oh, not like that, right? Object, cool. So then, look, I'm going to return. How do you access the values of the object? Correct. And then, because we want to add all the values, which method in JavaScript adds the values of an array? Reduce, correct. And what are the arguments of reduce? Total. Yes, of course, this is accumulator, right? But let's call it total. I mean, this is like when we calculated the scores, right, on the previous challenge. We just want to sum some numbers. And then what's the other value? What do we put here? Values in plural? Call it value, right? We don't know what do we have there. Could be a value, could be values, right? And then, do we need to set any default value? I'll come back to that afterwards. For now, if you're not sure, it's always safer to put a default value, right? We'll see what happens if we delete it afterwards. Right, so then, now, we want to add total. I mean, generally speaking, on a plain object, we'll do return total plus value, right? And that's it. And that will work fine for this structure, A1, B2, C3, it will add all the values. However, it will work fine here and there, but unfortunately not here, because the value here is an object, so we'll be adding a number plus an object, which doesn't make any sense. Right, so, what? Exactly, that's it, Tom. So we need to check the type of value. Let's check if it's a number. Let's do the easy case first, right? If it's a number, then what do we return? Correct. If it's a number, we just add it. And now, that's the complicated case. What happens if it's an object?
One level deep, so you need to run it again.
Correct, correct, correct. So can we do that? What do we put here on the argument? Value, correct, because the value is an object, so we need to pass it again. So will this work, yes or no? Why not, Marta? The curly... Oh, what's that? Was the part of the... Did they put that?
No, you accidentally typed it.
Okay, didn't notice. Cool. So will it work, yes or no?
Do you have to set calculate total value equal to total?
Yeah, that's correct. It's not. This is not right. This is not right. On the easy case, if it's a number, it's fine, because whatever the total was, we just add the value on top of it. But if we have to go on recursion, we're ignoring what the previous total was. We're not adding it, right? So we need to do that. Total, whatever the total was, plus the new value. Does it make sense? Marta? Will this work, yes or no?
Isn't it plus equals?
Yes.
Plus equals. Not necessarily, because when you do return, you are telling what the next total value is. So the next total will be total plus value, or total plus blah blah blah. Right? So you don't need, I think you don't need that. Let's try that. No, you don't need it, definitely. So just to make sure we understood it. So who struggled with this question? So it was Alex, Marta, and Tom. So now I just accept their thoughts. Iteration 1. What's the value of total? No, sorry, let me change that. Dimension 1, iteration 1. Total? 0. Value? 1. What do we have next? Dimension 1 or dimension 2? Correct. Iteration number? 2. Correct. Total. What's the total? That's 1. What's the value?
Object.
Which object?
A. C. 1 is 2.
Correct. And then, what's next? Dimension 1 or dimension 2? 1? Why 1, Marta? We found an object. Because we found that a value is an object, we'll run this piece of code, right? So we are triggering recursion now. We need to call the function again on a new dimension. So this is dimension 2. Iteration 1. What's the total? It's 0, that's correct, because that's a new dimension. What's the value? Minus 2, correct. What's next? Dimension 1, 2, or 3? 2, we keep in dimension 2, right? Iteration number. Which one?
2.
Correct. What's total? Yeah, that's correct. And what's the value? It's 4. Correct. So what happened next? What's the new dimension? It's 1, correct. We finished the second dimension. We're done with it. Correct. So let me check what we have in the dimension 1. So what's the iteration number? It's 3, correct. We finished the second one, and then we stop it because we went to a new dimension. So now we continue, right? So what's the total? One. Why 1?
2.
Why 2? It's 3. Why 3? That's correct. So the previous total was 1. And then we've added 1 plus the result, the last result. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so the last result that we return here. So what did dimension 2 eventually return?
1 minus 2 possible.
What? No, that's wrong. On the dimension 2, this was the last iteration. So on the last iteration, we return total plus value. So what dimension 2 return? Why 3? It's not 3. So this is dimension 2. What's the result of adding the values on dimension 2?
2.
It's 2, of course. Of course it's 2. Right? So on the last iteration of dimension 2, total was minus 2, value was 4. Is value a number? Is 4 a number? Yes. Total minus 2 plus value 4. So that will be returned, right? So the dimension 2 will finish returning 2. So then, what's the total now on the third iteration of dimension 1? It's 3. Why 3, Marta? Yeah, you mentioned that. No, yeah, that's fine. Because before we stopped dimension 1, total was 1, right? So it will be 1 plus whatever dimension 2 return, that was 2, is 3. Make sense? What's the value? 3, correct. And that's it, right? There is nothing else. We're done. So what's the algorithm eventually returning? The last iteration, total is 3. Value is 3. 6, correct. Correct. I will return 6. So if we remove that, yeah, return 6. Again, I suggest you to go to DevTools, add some breakpoints, inspect the value of the variables. That will clearly help to see where the flow is. Any question? No? Cool. So let's do question number 5, and this is the probably most complicated one. And I'm going to do something different this time. Instead of, oops, I skip it, right? Instead of solving it in the way that I feel comfortable, I'm going to impersonate some of you, because you do it in a different way, and I think it's very interesting, and I'll try to replicate. So I'm not going to feel that comfortable, because it's not my style, but still, I think it's a good approach. So let's try to do it. Sort. This is a bit tricky, right? It's even tricky to understand what, I mean, this one is okay. This one is a bit confusing, right? So let's focus on the second one because it's easier to grasp. So we have an object, and we want to return an array with the values of the object sorted by popularity. So how many times good is in the list? 1. How many times excellent is in the list? 2. So put excellent before good. That's the plan, right? So argument name. Object, fine. And then, so we don't care about the keys, right? We don't have to deal with the keys. We don't care. We just care about the values. So how do we get the values of an object? Correct. I'm going to create a variable. So I'll tell you what my plan is. My plan is to end up having something like that. I want to have an object with the popularity of each value. So for example, in the second case, because I think it's a bit more readable. So in this case, I will have something called good. What's the value of good? 1, correct. And what's the value of excellent? Correct. Because once you have that, once you get that, it will be a bit easier to sort the array of values. Because we have a criteria to sort the values, right? So how do we construct, how do we build this object? Yes, that's correct. I'm going to create a new object, a new variable called, for example, popularity. And then, as Victor suggested, values.reduce. And then variable names. What's the first one? That's accumulator, definitely. But look, when you do that, when you assign it to a variable, why don't you put the same name? Right? Because this is what will be eventually returned, right? So keep it simple, just reuse the same name. You can put whatever you want, right? We agree on that. But just for readability purposes, then it's pretty obvious that popularity will be assigned to that variable. And what's the second value? Value, correct, right? That's consistent, right? Values.reduce will have its individual value. So then, because we want to return an object, what's the default value of the object? Empty object, correct. So then, how do we fill that object now? We want to return it at the end, right? Eventually. So what will be the first value? Look at it again on the second example. So what will be the first value? Good, correct. So how do we start filling the popularity object?
Value. Sorry, value dot.
Popularity square brackets value.
What's popularity?
The object.
It's an empty object.
What's value here? Value,
I don't know, you should know that already, right?
Value is.
What's value?
Oh, it's the. It's array of it's one value of the array of values. It's an element of the array of values.
So on this example, what's the first value?
Okay.
Correct. So this is equal to what? Conditional. What's the condition?
Popularity value again if it exists basically.
Yeah? So if it exists, then what?
Then yeah, return what you're assigning.
Yeah?
It's assigning itself again.
Yeah?
Equal to added well, you're adding one to equal to
Can we do that?
yeah.
So if for example the last iteration excellent is 1, so it already exists, so just increment it to 2, right? And if not,
Set it to 1.
correct. If it's the first time, popularity index is 1, right? Cool, so hopefully,
Sorry, popularity. Popularity is an empty object on the first
Yeah,
iteration.
that's correct.
So popularity square bracket value. What does that do?
That's
Subject.
a question on the beginner that we've answered like 40 times already, Victor.
Oh, I'm
So-
confused.
Right. So let's recap what we learned on the first week of the bootcamp. So if I have user equals name Victor, right? If I do user.name, it returns Victor, right? But can I do that?
Yeah.
That's what we are doing, right?
Yeah, but the object's empty.
The object it's
Yeah, so it's checking whether that property exists.
yeah, of course, yeah. The object is empty, so we do popularity is an empty object. So then we're maybe even creating the property. So the first time, value is good. So we said popularity.good equals. Do we have popularity.good on the first time? No, that's undefined, right? No problem. Assign variable value 1. On the second iteration, value is excellent. Do we have popularity.excellent? No, again, 1. On the last iteration, value is excellent. Do we have popularity.excellent? Yes, then increment it by 1.
Yeah.
Cool. So then we got this map. That map will hopefully help us to determine the popularity order. So, because we have that, and we also have values. So look, values looks like that, right? So good, excellent, it's an array, right? Can we sort this array? Now, how do we sort the array?
Give it a semicolon. Oh, you got here, okay, fine, yeah. And then do dot sort.
Sort, correct. So what are the two values that sort receives?
That's the two there.
Say it again, Marta, sorry. What you said, Gray?
I said the two elements you want to compare. So, equal A and B, or equal value 1, value 2.
Value A or value 1, value 2.
This time we're sorting by popularity.
Yeah, so how do we check if value 1 is, which will be good, more popular or less popular than value 2? What's the popularity what's value 1?
this case, good.
Good. What's the popularity of value 1?
1.
How do we know that? How can we access that?
To do on
Popularity.
Yeah, popularity,
The name of the key.
correct. What's the name of the key?
Be valuable.
Correct. And then, can we do that? Will this work? So what array will it return now?
It's been the other way around.
On the other way around, correct. We want to put the first one on top, on the front, right? So the highest one first. Correct. So hopefully, now we'll have that.
Let's get rid of the G.
Correct. Correct. So now the only missing step is to get rid of the duplicates.
Would you not do that before you sort it?
Yeah, of course, you can do that before. Yes, you can do that before. Doesn't matter. But because we've done that already, let's do that now at the end. So how do we get rid of the duplicates of an array?
Choose.
You can use reduce, for sure. You can use filter as well, but I would like to do something different. I would like to use set. We haven't talked about set, strictly speaking, but some of you already use set, right? Yep. So great. Do you use set because one day in your life you did JavaScript remove duplicates of an array, and then you got a link on Stack Overflow, which is probably the first one, correct? And then the first solution tells you this
That's
is
the one I used. I know.
no, wrong.
So where L comes from?
Uh,
L.
Oh, no, it's not. It's one line of code and it just,
yeah,
you set the
that's not the one I wanted to find.
use REST operators to spread it. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
No.
So-
Start that one.
So the thing is, classically speaking, we could use filter. So with filter, we can definitely remove the duplicates. But now with modern JavaScript, we can use Grace style, which is new set, right? So this is a powerful mechanism. So new set creates a collection of unique values. So let's, I mean, yeah, we don't need to play. I mean, this example is pretty good, right? So in my array, A1, A2, 1. So how many duplicate values do we have? Wrong. Yes, 1. Yes, A, right? 1 is not duplicated because this is number, integer, and this is a string. So A is duplicated. So I would like to put open a DevTools just to show that. So if we have an array, so let players, and we got Marta, and we got Osman, and we got Tom, and we got Osman. No, sorry. Yeah, we got Osman again. And
Can I be there?
do you want to be there? Yes, Victor is there as well. A coding challenge without Victor is like a world war without Germany. Sorry, I forgot I was recording that. Right, we got the list of players, right? Just ignore my last comment. And now we want to. So clearly one of them is duplicated, right? So Osman, he played twice. So we want to remove one of the instances, right? So look, if you do new set, you can clearly see that one of the Osmans was removed because instead of having 5 players, we got 4. So that's good. It looks promising.
It's in object, right?
That's the thing. That it's a set. It's a set. A set is a new thing. It's like something like an object, but it's not an object, strictly speaking. Look. You see, it has some properties, some hidden things. It looks like an object, but it's not like an object. But because it looks like an object, with JavaScript you can use the REST operator to transform it into an array, which is what we want, right? So look, if we run the same command again, so technically speaking, we can handle that as an object, kind of an object, which is again, it's not an object. So if we use the spread operator, that means that now we'll have like a comma separated list of values. So we're spreading them. Instead of having an object-ish, now we have a comma separated list of values. So how do we transform a comma separated list of values into an array? Correct. Marta is right. Once we have a comma separated list of values, you see, now this is an array, strictly speaking. So yeah, I think this is an elegant pattern. Every time you want to, you have an array and you want to remove the duplicates, that's probably the sexiest way to do it. So let's go back to the example and let's just do it, right? You know how to do it now. So return what? Everyone apart from Ray. Array? No? Square bracket? Ah, right. Yeah. Dot. New. Set. Correct. Values. Like that? Will this work? Yes or no? Popularity. Here. Not really, because popularity is an object. The only reason we created the popularity object is to be able to sort the original array of values afterwards. But now, after this step, we don't care about the popularity anymore. We care about the array, because the array has the list of values, which is what we want, right? We don't care about the object anymore. So will this work, yes or no? Warnings. Line number what?
12.
Correct. 10. So Marta doesn't like line number 10. Correct. 6. Correct. What else? Is there anything else? Or will it be like the perfect solution? What do you think? This is a big, bold statement. Technically speaking, probably we're on the limit of an acceptable solution in terms of number of statements. To me, I'm not going to refactor it now, because I think it's taking longer than usual. But anyway, to me this function is too long. So I will probably create a new function called sort values, and I'll do this thing as part of the function, something like that, right? But apart from that, okay, let's see if it's good. Yes, well, no, wrong. Interesting. So I'm going to ignore that problem. Again, this is probably not correct. So I'll update the algorithm because that shouldn't be reported as an error. But apart from that, look what happened here. You return good and excellent.
That's the error that I had. I was trying to do exactly the same thing. I was getting green, red, green. My code was like 30 minutes.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I have the feeling I cannot clearly see where the problem is. So if you
Does it make a difference if you switch around the order? So you
Just set always retain the order.
find the unique ones first and then sort it after, so you get the same thing.
Yeah, that shouldn't matter theoretically. So short. So either two things: either popularity is wrong, or values is wrong. If I were using a browser or a proper, working environment, I'll add a breakpoint and I'll inspect the values. Because I don't have that capability, I'm going to sacrifice some elegance and accuracy to see what's going on, because I don't know. So popularity. Let's do divide and conquer. So popularity is literally in the middle of the script. So let's see if in the middle of the script, popularity is correct. If that's correct, the problem is afterwards. If that's wrong, the problem is before, right? So let's try that. Oh, right, that's another thing, right? We cannot display objects, but yes, you can do JSON.stringify. So, correct, and you can see that the popularity is wrong. That's the issue, because excellent should be true. Correct. So the problem is clearly here. And I think the problem is here. I think I know why. Let me try something. Yeah, that was the issue. So the plus plus, which I recommended to use, is wrong here. Because remember that plus plus happens afterwards, right? So in reality, where the popularity value equals the same, and after assigning the same, it will add 1. But yeah, correct. We can, yes. Hopefully, that should work. Correct. You see? Because now we incremented before assigning it, right? So that's good, Tom. That's a good thing, right? So now, obviously, let's get rid of the consoles. Let's get a big and friendly penalty in a few aspects, like the time, elegance, and accuracy.
Right?
Right?
That is Tom as well.
But yeah,
Not just.
cool. So that was pretty much it. Is there any other question, guys?
There was one I wanted to see the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that now. Cool. Nothing else? Osman? Sorry? Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.